called Vibin. And so we've been talking to people in the space about how they got into building, what they're working on, and what they're learning along the way. So would love to just first start with your guys' background. Just tell us a bit more about who you are, how you got into all of this, and then we'll get into everything you're building with Principal and all that.
Do you want to go first, Michael? I think it's a little bit more interesting.
Sure. So I actually don't come from a technical background at all. I've had 3 different businesses that I've started from the ground up, all in different areas. One was like a modern lifestyle store, retail, and started that and ended up winning National Retail Small Store of the Year and got flown out to New York and all that stuff for it. Also had a flooring company that I did, and then a restaurant that I had for 7 years that I sold. And so this past summer, I was just kind of chilling, and my sister, who's always been in the tech world, she had just left Cisco, where she was with them for 8 years or 9 years. And she called me. She's like, "Hey, will you do this hackathon with me?" I'm like, "I don't know, like whatever." And ended up doing it with her. We came up with an idea, and we had fun with it. So we're like, you know what? Let's go out to New York or out to San Francisco for Tech Week and see what it's all about. And she had some good connections out there because she lived out there and she worked in Silicon Valley, did all that stuff. She was part of the .com era and everything like that. So went out there, met with a lot of people, met a lot of investors, was getting some good traction with that. And then she met Fernando in line and then had me go meet him at a coffee shop. And the next thing you know, we've been building this for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Fernando.
It was pretty wild, right? Because like the first thought that I have with Michael is when I'd met Julie in line because I thought she worked in the building that was hosting the hackathon, and that because she had been there the day before. She was talking about how she'd been there the day before. I thought she worked there, but then she didn't, and so like we did the hackathon together. And then we met Michael in the coffee shop. But before that, I worked at like lots of tech places. So I worked at Google briefly when I started, and then what is the other one? Epic Systems, and then I did a startup that did medication adherence. And before, or I guess when AI started becoming a thing, I was at Airbnb, and I was like, it kind of hit me that it could do a lot of my job relatively well, I would say. I think I had spent like an entire quarter copying, pasting code from ChatGPT into my repository just to like make this internal tool, and it was surprisingly good. Like my review for that quarter was like, exceeds expectations. I was like, this is it's noteworthy, right? Like I had never gotten exceeds expectations, not because I wasn't good. It's like I tried very hard. It's just like it was just a different way to do things. You could do it a lot faster and things like that. So and so like we met Michael, and Julie had a way of communicating something that's very difficult, which is what we work on, is like observability and kind of understanding things like that. And so we've been kind of trying to tackle that as a product since then.
Yeah, really diverse backgrounds from the both of you guys. What have you brought? What lessons have you brought from? So Fernando, you on the enterprise side, and Michael, you in retail, restaurants, stuff like that. What kind of insights and lessons have you brought into building this product, into building Principal?
You want to go first, or?
Yeah, I guess for me, it's like relatively straightforward, right? Like I've been in startups long enough to like be able to guide an AI towards making a product. I think crafting it and doing the messaging and stuff like that is where I've gotten a lot of help from Michael and Julie, because in making this, like, what is the word, accessible to people, like that you can't just have like a technical perspective to make a technical product. Like a lot of people who make observability products right now, they kind of have the same technical perspective on like, we'll just solve this engineering problem. And I think we've diversified a little bit outside of that in order to tackle it differently. What do you think, Mike?
Yep. And I think as far as like me, is this the same thing, like a customer is a customer. As long as you have a product that is needed and that brings benefit to them, you got yourself something. So I think that's where the biggest thing is just as long as like, we're bringing something to them that they need. They might not know that they need it yet. So that's one thing that's a little bit harder, like with restaurants, stuff like that, they know they need to eat. They know they're hungry. And, we can change it up a little bit, show them something that they haven't had before or something like that. But with this, it's so early and new still on, and especially being so new to all this tech in the world of tech, it's a little bit harder to like describe or like get people to understand that they do need this.
Yeah.
And if they don't need it right now, the second, they're going to need it if they're going to continue to use AI. If they're going to want to understand if they want their product to grow, this is something that they're going to need. So,
yeah, exactly. What is that positioning statement, or what is that like tagline or one line that you give to folks when you're explaining the product?
Good question. What is one that you can think about? Because we've gone through a lot of them, and we try to do it, every day to kind of try to figure out like what is the thing, because it has evolved over time, and words are really difficult to kind of nail down to get that one that's going to get the visceral reaction from people. I can look at our website. Michael, do you have anything that comes to mind?
Well, it's just like we help you explain and verify like the behavior and the intent of your code, I guess. So I think our biggest thing is the whole intent, because you can tell your AI or bot whatever to do whatever you want it to do, but is it going to truly do that in the way that you want it to do? Like it might get you the right answer or the right outcome, but like how did it get there? Like is it doing it through the right circuits, like the right channels, basically? And so at first it might not be a big deal, like okay, it got me from point A to point B, which I wanted, but eventually you're going to want that point A to go to point B, C, D, E, F, G. And so if it didn't go through the right flow, the right way, then you're going to run into a lot of issues. And then you didn't write the code, so you're not going to understand the code base, and then you're screwed. So this, by doing this, and like kind of what Fernando has built, allows you to track everything that it is doing and going the right way and being able to visualize it and see it easily. So even though you didn't write the code, you're fully involved and understand, and the code is written with your intent.
Yeah, I think that's a huge problem. I see a lot of memes circulating around even developers just not looking at any of the code. It's just like and trying to explain it to people, and it's just completely, there's no thought. They have no idea what's going on.
Yeah,
they write it so fast. Like I think there was an honest attempt, particularly right now. There's a lot of backlash for it because like you're in the space where like it did make you kind of more productive, but then there's a lot of risk involved with not knowing things, particularly at like places where risk is life and death, and so it's a weird thing to navigate. With regard to like the one-liner, I think we've settled right now on like story-based monitoring for the agentic era, which I hope kind of captures the idea that like we're visualizing the shape of your code in a way that you can process quickly.
Yeah, well put. Yeah, that's good. Story-based monitoring for the agentic era. Yeah. Cool. And what, as far as audience goes, is this designed? Is this marketed more towards the developer, the beginner? I think it sounds like it fit for both use cases, both avatars.
We've tried to focus on people who have code bases that they care about. I think even for like 0 to 1, there's still a lot of like experimentation that happens that you don't necessarily want to have the overhead of adding observability to, because it isn't really going to help you that much. But anybody that has like an existing code base that they want to grow, or like maybe they started open sourcing and like it's going to start growing in like unpredictable ways and you kind of have to manage it, that's kind of what we're focusing on right now, because it gives us the opportunity to like, particularly with people who are doing open source, is like we can clone the repo, we can create the shape that we see based on the telemetry, and then show them how the tools can help them like more conscientiously evolve their code base without having to read the code as aggressively.
Yeah. Would you guys be willing to do a quick demo of the product?
Sure. I can show you our screen, and we also have, or do you want to go through the demo that we have on our website? We could do either one.
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with, either way.
Let me share my screen, and then maybe we'll just kind of cut it as appropriate. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like this is a visualization that I've been working on that I kind of want to show off real quick.
Nice.
So this is like what telemetry feels like, and this is what we do to it, right? Like we give it structure, so you can kind of understand it. But more importantly, I think, so this is an example of a code base that currently has telemetry in it. This is BacklogMD. We met Alex, who is the maintainer of this, in a a conference in New York, and we've been chatting back and forth about being like one of the first people to kind of adopt it into the code base. And so in order to do that, we've created we've cloned the repo and added our story-based telemetry to it. And a quick overview of the tool here, we do a visualization of the code base that's two-dimensional, which I think you might see because Michael does the tours for open source code bases for them, and we've integrated it here in the terminal. And so like for what we do from like a high level, we start on like resources and scopes, and like our tool can be seen as like teaching people about OpenTelemetry, because that's one of the things that kind of is involved with our product, is like getting people to understand that OpenTelemetry is a really well architected tool that a lot of code bases already use, and they capture a lot of concepts that you're going to need as your code evolves so that you can understand it. And so like the first is like resources and scopes. My understanding is like resources can be like your server, or like anything that is producing like telemetry. And then there's like scopes, which kind of give you some compartmentalization between different parts of the code base. And so I think for this one, it's relatively straightforward. It's got like a BacklogMD core, and then you've got like a terminal UI that pops up from a CLI, and then it has an MCP server, an HTTP server, and like a web UI. Mm-hmm. So these things are like related. But each one has like a different scope because they don't necessarily have the ability to propagate traces inherently. Like you need to use something called like baggage to kind of propagate across scopes. But this kind of gives you the shape of like understanding how distributed systems can work and why it can be tricky to navigate telemetry with them. After that, you've got like, the proper canvas for what is like spans. Spans give you a little bit more encapsulation. So like if you look here, like this shows you how we've encapsulated some of the things that this code base does. It's a project management tool for your code base that lives in Git. And so it has like milestone management, task operation. And I think if I do this correctly, yeah. So like you can see it narrow down, like this is how these things work together. This is how this works together. This how these things does. And this is like one of the bigger ones, right? Because it manages all of the requests. And so this helps you understand the shape. And it's not stale documentation. It's like it's a representation of the telemetry that's already been implemented in this code base, so that when you run any particular code, it'll show up in this. And so this is like the higher level. Once you get into like more granular understanding of code, this is what we call workflows and scenarios, which map pretty elegantly to spans and events. And so like you can think of your code base as like a lot of different events, and we just give them a shape and a structure. And so, and this helps you. So like this is like a success for a list started, list loaded, list complete. And so when your code runs, it'll populate these things with the event and the data that you got. And so you can kind of quickly get an understanding of what code bases are doing, and also verify that the agent is able to do these things without like having to rely on reading the code. And that is our tool for the most part.
Very cool.
And then if there is an error or if it doesn't run properly, you can go to that point right away. It's like you don't have to go through a bunch of logs, try to figure it out, or rebuild the architecture or any of that. Like it's going to show you right away where that error is, and then you can tackle that right away.
Very cool. Yeah, that's one thing that I struggle with as a builder myself is just parsing, even giving, it's like Vercel or it's Render, any of those deployment platforms, just feeding them the agent, the logs, just takes forever to parse through that and find and pinpoint the problem. I think that's a huge problem as a whole.
I think
cool.
It's not a problem that like people have really thought of, because for observability tools, they've never had access to the code base to be able to manipulate it. And I think that's one of the novelties that we provide is like, we're going to take like this thing that these artifacts you develop with your code base, and then we'll ship them independently with your code. That way they can do the processing of the in real time and do those associations and give you the visibility. Because they can't do it right now, right? Like they try to make sense of the noise that you already have, absent any previous understanding, which is really difficult for them.
Yeah. Just in the AI space as a whole, it just seems to be evolving so quickly. How are you guys keeping up with it with Principal? Are you trying to add new features all the time? Are you trying to focus on the core product? How do you guys just tackle that?
I think one of the things that because like for a long time, I think, for the first couple months, we did kind of what people are doing now, in the sense of like documentation will kind of save you and kind of associating documentation with stuff. And so like we did our best to kind of watch the trends as they evolve, but not lose focus on what we're doing and kind of find guiding light. Like most of the time, because I spent some time in South Dakota with Michael, I think for November, December, and January, and we'd wake up and go in and like how do we make money? Or, like how do people make money? But like how like I'd come up with like ideas of like this is something useful, this is a problem we're solving, and Michael would be like, yeah, but how do you make money? Like how do you do that? Like that kind of helps us from keeping too closely to the trends, because like trends and like what people find useful are hard to read, and like you really have to just keep an arm's length from like a lot of the stuff that is happening, because it's kind of starting to sort itself out now, where you kind of see that like you can move faster and like you can do so much, but is it the right thing? Is it going to cost you something? Like what is it costing you, right? I kind of think of like the Rick and Morty episode where like the devil's giving away free things that like you have a hidden cost to the thing. Like that's what vibe coding is for the most part. It's like it will cost you in tech debt that you never see coming. And so like we try to integrate, and like we get a lot of exposure because Michael does the tours of all the open source code bases that are like really popular, and like they're really helpful for understanding, okay, like this is what they're doing, but we try to focus on telemetry and making it easier for people.
Yeah, and I think as you're explaining that, I'm picturing as the technology progresses quicker, it actually makes Principal an even better use case because of the technical debt that you're talking about, where it's just going to be even more confusing because people are going to be adding features all over the place, and it's just going to create an even messier code base.
That's our hope, right? It's like we are like that, I don't know, that I can't think of a good word for it, but like that shape that you maintain, like nothing else, the source of truth. But we'll see how it goes. Like we're relatively confident in our ability. So
yeah,
I think really we're that mental like aspect of it, where before you had the engineer that created the software, he kind of had it all in his head and stuff like that, where now you got the agents doing it, and this is really creating that mental note of how it works from beginning to end, and as it grows, you get to watch it grow along with it. Make sure it's growing properly, so that down the road you don't have to tear it all down to try to figure out what happened.
Exactly. Michael, are you getting your hands dirty in the tech at all, or are you just purely on the business side?
So no, so originally that's what it was, but then we talking about keeping up with all the trends and all the stuff like that. I mean, I've never watched so many YouTube videos in my life. For Fernando, and like, I mean, yeah, tech people they're a different breed. So I mean, he'll be watching these YouTube videos, like there's something new every like hour.
Uh-huh.
I used to sit in there coding, like looking at me, talking to me, coding. Like I'm just like what is going on right now? Yeah, since we've had to pivot a few times, and now we're feel like we found a really good product and all that. So I didn't really have much to like build the business with. Like we just needed to build the product, and like stuff like that. So one of the ways we've kind of knew that we had something here too is, and the way the three of us work so well together is, Fernando's like the tech person, the engineer, built it. Julie, what she did for Cisco for 8 years is made sure that like everyone within Cisco understood what they're building, and like, be that layer between the tech and the sales, and all that stuff. So for me then to understand it, and for me to be able to do stuff, he's got me working in a terminal now. He's got me using skills. He's got me like things that never in a million years would I think I'd be even talking about. He's got me doing, and like I love it. It's fun, but I'm ready to go back to the business side of things and get out there and network and raise some money. And I'm actually going to be going down to Austin here in a couple weeks for a while there, and I'm excited to do that. But yeah, no, I've been sitting at the computer for 10, 12 hours a day, and working in the terminal, and
Let's go. Yeah.
it's wild.
You got the bug. You've got the bug. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's cool too, because I mean, if you're working in Claude Code, if you're working in the terminal, you can build out, you don't even need to build, you can build out personal software for yourself to help run the business side, or get automations going, or, marketing, all that kind of stuff can be done in the terminal now, which is really kind of exciting.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's so cool. I mean, I wish I would have known this stuff before. Like, it would have been way easier than doing restaurants, retail.
Yeah, I mean, if you've made it through the restaurant business, this is probably I can imagine a hard business than that.
Yeah. So,
but
it's been fun.
Yeah. Yeah. How about so you mentioned, Fernando, you mentioned the tours that Michael, you're leading. Are tour? This is the product tours. This is like customer discovery calls and stuff like that. Is that what those are?
If you want to pull up maybe X real quick and just show them what it is.
Sure. So we do one of the things we've been doing in order to kind of grow our footprint, because we need like a way to kind of do distribution and people to know us. We do tours of code bases, and so that means so here is a file city, similar to how we have like let's see if I can pull up a good one. That's yep. Can you see my screen? Maybe. Yeah. Okay, good. What is it? One that's not open right now. That's open. Okay, so like we do this representation of a code base to kind of give people a high level understanding of it. Now that people aren't reading the code, we wanted something to capture like different levels of higher level understanding, right? So we do the stories, which give you like an internal view of the plumbing, but this is kind of a higher level view of like, this is the surface of your code base, right? These are the files, and this is kind of what it looks like. And with that, we're able to do tours of people's code bases. And so like, let me move this. If you'll see here, we use Claude Code to do an analysis of the code base, and then it'll generate this tour, which highlights some of the parts, and I think it'll start changing right now soon. So like this is the Shad CN UI code base, and yeah, it'll kind of do this kind of navigation of it. I think I can do it different. I think we can probably just go straight to the our principal. So we have this website where we have all of our like the things that we've cloned. And so like we make cards out of them. We're really just trying to push this representation of a code base so people kind of have something to intuitively understand code. So like this is the OpenClaw code base. And then when you do, I know, right? It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's fun to see, like, like OpenClaw, or which one is this?
OpenClaw.
OpenClaw, yeah, is massive. But then there was one that somebody came out with, like, it's like a micro OpenClaw type thing, and it was just like a tiny little, like, and just seeing them next to each other and the different size of files and pulled it, like what is used in them.
Yeah.
A quick comparison.
Yeah.
Instead of having to
Yeah.
go and read all the MD and like figure it all out, download it, like you can just get a quick overview. And I know, like, Fernando, he likes to listen to stuff. He's not a big reader. So this is where he's just like,
Me and everybody on X.
like, he sends me 15 repos a day. He's like, hey, do this one. This looks interesting. Hey, I want to know about this one. And, like, then I'll create it, make it, then he can just listen to it while he's doing his stuff and just be like, oh, okay, like, hear certain things about it. So it's just basically a walkthrough tour, kind of showing the structure of the repos and an audio description of it and telling you what it does.
Very
and how
cool.
and so
very cool.
we've only been pushing this for about 2 weeks. And so 2 weeks, like, organically, I think we did like over 100,000 views, like 700 clicks to our website from it. So it's been, for organic little social media thing, it's been good.
We're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it just as a marketing vehicle,
Yep.
it just worked really well with that color code of the visualization of everything. Because no one wants to. Fernando, I'm surprised you, as a developer, you're not a big reader. Not
like,
parsing through docs all the time.
like, now you can just add Claude. Is like, what does this do? Is this
Exactly.
Save you so much.
Yeah, and then you saw kind of too with our map there and how it breaks it down. It's also fun to see, like, within our ADE, as you're coding and stuff like that, you can see what your agent is touching, which files, which is pretty fun and pretty neat to do. And, like, you can kind of see, like, okay, why is he way over there? He shouldn't be messing with, these text files over here, something like that, if this is what he's working on. And you can click on each file too, and, like, it'll open and show you the code in there, which is something I think is really cool. That kind of, like, brings it all together too, like, just the way of visualizing your code now and working with your agent.
Yeah, this seems like a good solution to context management too. It's just occurring to me right now, where, I mean, that's such a huge issue right now, even with Opus 4.6's 1 million context window. Even as the context window continues to expand, this will always be an issue because the code bases will just get larger and larger. So to manage that somehow with an agent, or at least, give an agent an ability to go into the code base and parse through and find exactly what they were working on, I think is a potential, like, huge solution to that.
Let me just show you, like, one other thing, because we're really excited about it. So for context management, we never really got into, like, skills, and I mean, we do skills for very specific things, but, like, maintaining docs can be really exhausting. And so now that we have this telemetry component, you can just open a new Claude, and then if this is the thing that you're working on today, you just you drag and drop it in there, and it's like, it has file references, an understanding of, like, the code that this thing is supposed to touch, and so, like, this is how we manage context now with doing agents and stuff like that. And so, like, for our Electron app, it can be kind of overwhelming. Like, it does a lot of stuff, but and, like, each one of these is, like, particularly some weird representation of, like, if you've ever worked on an Electron app, right, you've got your main process and your renderer, and then different services that you it's like a small distributed system, because, like, you don't want the main thread overloaded, and so, like, you have small servers implementing it. So this helps us quickly be able to, like, have this thing that we give Claude, is like, Claude, this is how this works, this is what we're working on, or this is the bug that we're seeing, and it is great. Can't.
Interesting. Yeah. It's like the same kind of architecture of skills, where it's progressive disclosure. You just drop it in, and exactly, it's referencing it. Very cool. How about just in the future? Where are you guys seeing this space heading in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years? I know you're not oracles or anything, but what's the initial intuition? How are you guys, like, preparing for that future?
I think there was, like, we're kind of aware of the fact that, like, you are, for better or for worse, moving, like, developer intuition into these artifacts. And so once you have a way to maintain and manipulate those, I think it does like significantly improve the productivity and understandability of code, and like it definitely empowers people to use it. I think the designing of these things can still be kind of tricky because it requires expertise to know like this is what the shape looks like, this is things that are allowed, this is why this is performant. Um, but we do see like it being easier to like upscale really quickly, right? So like if somebody comes to a code base and they want to understand one specific piece, reading a diagram about how it works and like a quick blurb is like really quick. And so we imagine that like tools like this and other ones that like automate some parts of it will kind of reduce the kind of makes this a very competitive field to be in, right? Like trying to think if there's like an example of where this has happened to other places that has made it really difficult. I think probably algorithmic trading is like one place where it has happened really quickly. Where like once you had computers doing the analysis that people used to do, like everything sped up really quickly and everything, all the margins like dropped almost precipitously. And like the only thing that mattered was like how long is the wire between this exchange and your computer, right? And so like you see a lot of those things probably happening, but for coding.
Yeah. How about you, Michael, from the business side?
Well, you know, honestly, with as far as predicting trends and everything like that, like both Julie and Fernando have been spot on, quite impressively. Like they'll be talking about something, or you know, Julie's been doing it her whole life. That's kind of like how she made her career. But you know, they'll be pitching something, talking about something, and then you know, like in a few weeks, then that's like what everyone's talking about. They've been just a little bit ahead, and that's one area where like it freaks me out because like with the other businesses and stuff like that, like you know what you're doing, you're building it, like you're making money as you're doing it. Where this, like, you know, we've been bootstrapping, we doing all this stuff. Well, then if someone came out overnight and like offer the same thing or do the same thing, like it's that part is a little bit scary. But what I see is more the audience and the market is just going to grow crazy. Because I mean, someone like me who, you know, I'm in my 40s, no technical skill at all. You know, I don't even like emailing and texting. Like I like to grab yeah, like he gets annoyed too sometimes. Like, I'll just call him quickly, you know, but like he's all about like dude, I don't like, I hate texting and I hate typing messages.
Did you cut out?
Apps, or their own personal stuff. That yeah, so like they won't be, you know, it's going to grow big time for the amount of people that are involved with it. You know, people that normally weren't involved with tech. It's kind of like with email. A lot of people didn't use email when it first came out, but now everyone uses email. You know, and so like I think everyone is going to be using agents and coding their own stuff and their own little things. So
I think the big thing we have is like we currently benefit from like a lot of subsidization, right, with Claude. And so like what happens when that goes away? And like it's hard to know when it'll go away, but like it's hard to imagine it lasting more than like mid this year. Just because the costs can be exorbitant for some people. On some level, we hope our tool kind of reduces the need for kind of expensive costs like that. But we're hoping local models improve to some degree, and it's hard to know. Like I don't have enough time to really test local models as much as I would like. But I try to stay abreast by watching, like Michael said, a lot of YouTube videos about people who are testing and running the evaluations and stuff like that to kind of understand what's happening.
Yeah, what do you mean by subsidization?
Right, because like you know, you can pay $200 for Claude and use like $5,000 worth of usage if you're just using it. Yeah, and so concerns with like what happens when you have to play those real prices, because like could I pay $5,000 for Claude to do the work that I've done over the last 4 months, right? Like 20 grand? Like no, not really. Like that would absorb it.
Yeah, and they're probably it was even interesting last year when I think when Opus 4 came out and they started really cracking down on usage.
That was really scary because it was like free for all for like the first 6 months, right? And then like there was like mild panic for like what happens now.
Yeah, I may or may not have 3 Claude Max accounts.
Really?
It's just the usage limits are just too strict. I'm probably doing something wrong. I should probably be using Principal. If I was actually using Principal, I could probably cut that down to maybe 1 Claude Max.
There you go.
We're happy to set up some time and we can show you what we can do. Yeah.
Oh no, selfishly, yeah, really love that. Well, cool. Yeah, I think we'll just wrap it up. What we always like to ask is at the end is just advice. If you were to, I want to hear from both you guys' perspective too, from the tech and from the business side. But if you guys were 16, starting today, it's 2026. Yeah. I mean, Fernando, pretend like you don't have any technical background or anything like that. Michael, you wouldn't have any business experience, anything like that. You're curious, you've got time, you're eager to learn. What would you do?
Just do it. Like, just get in there and start playing with the agents, and don't be so scared or intimidated. Like, I mean, that was one thing. Like, when Julie called me, I remember I was like laying in bed and she's like, "Hey, will you do this hackathon with me?" I'm like, "Oh, when is it?" She's like, "In an hour." I'm like, I'm like, I don't know any of this stuff. And like, at first, like the guys talking, like, I mean, it was just all over my head. But then when I actually downloaded like Claude and did surf and like all that stuff, I was just like, and I just started doing it. And like, you do pick it up and it is a lot easier than I thought. It's not nearly as scary as I thought. And to just try it. Like, I still find myself sometimes like calling Fernando to ask him a question, but I'm like, okay, why didn't I just ask Claude? I don't need to like bother him and ask him and it's just to do it and not be afraid of it. And not think that everyone else is so far ahead. That was one thing that like with Fernando and Julie, I just feel like everyone has already done everything, or people like act like they've already done it or already solved it. When in reality, a lot of them, they haven't, like they say they created this thing, but like, it's not working. It's not functioning. They haven't shipped it. There's enough things out there for you to do and figure out. Just to do it.
Yeah, I think so. Like when I was 16, we got our first computer, like our first home computer. So like this would be almost the same kind of thing where you get like a lot of access to information that you really didn't have before. Like Michael said, there's a lot of like hidden frictions that like, I don't know if it's part of getting older or stuff like that, but like it can be exhausting. But like as a kid, I think you have a lot more bandwidth to kind of just like try things that you think will work, and a lot of them won't. And I think that's the hard thing for some people is particularly with like how much people want to show off things that work. A lot of your time is going to be spent just like doing things that don't work, and that is okay, because in order for you to find something that works, you have to understand the things that don't work. And so that's the only advice that I think tends to stand the test of time, is go and try the things that people are saying are possible, and like some of them are and some of them aren't, and that will help you grow, like people like to call it taste, but like your intuition for what the world actually is like, as opposed to like what people want you to understand about the world.
That's very well put. Yeah, it seems like you guys are doing a great job of like getting back to just like the core business fundamentals, not get distracted by the shiny object syndrome, but just getting back to like what's going to have staying power.
Yeah, with like a little bit of mild fear, with thinking like, are we doing it the right thing? Like it's hard to know, but, we have each other and we do our best. So
yeah, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I would love to, if you're ever open to it, have another conversation. Maybe we could do like a live build or something and see how you guys are using Principal and just building any kind of application or anything like that.
Yeah, great. We usually do like open source repos, so we can do it on an open source repo if you have one or know one.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. We could plug maybe a little file city in there too.
Happy to do it. Very visual. Yeah. It's like really interesting to look at.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys to keep posting those. I think it's just going to continue to do really well on social.
Well, we were talking like over Christmas time about how like a lot of like the developers, stuff like that, if they don't have kids or anything, like their code is like their baby. It's like their kid, just like how like people that have pets, like that's their kid, or like. And so we wanted to send people, like developers and stuff that don't have kids or pets, they send out their code, like their city map, because it's very colorful, and you see it grow over the years, because over the years, as you add more lines to it and it grows, it gets bigger, changes colors. Like
Kind of like wrapped of it. Yeah, we didn't get around to it,
like,
but it's
it's like it's their baby and it's a living thing, and yeah, it's a fun little thing.
That's a great idea. Did you send any of those out?
No, but we're going to. But
next year.
Next
Next year
Christmas.
we'll do some kind of like GitHub wrapped with like a growing File City for your things that happen.
Yeah, GitHub wrapping paper.
mm,
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you again for you guys' time. And yeah, we'll definitely stay in touch.
yeah, definitely. It's nice meeting you.
Pleasure.
All right. Thanks again, guys.
See ya.
Bye.